Warning, this video is not edited in any way. You get my full, authentic, and flawed self because honestly, if we were sitting across the table from each other having a conversation, this is what it would be. There would be no editing, there would be no perfecting, there would be no script. There would just be you and me having a real conversation. So I would rather run my videos like that, like we're real people having a real conversation, than trying to pretend to be something that I'm not. And I think there's so much AI out there and so much like pretend and fakeness out there that I just want you to know that like this is the real deal. So here we go. But you're watching this video, so why should you even watch this video? Why should you listen to me? Who the heck am I? My name's Amy. I have been a business owner for 15 years. My husband and I own a web design and digital marketing company, and we've been helping service-based businesses clarify their brand and succeed online through clear messaging and lead generation. That's the world I know. And I've also spent 5 years on the leadership team for a $30 million company. And I launched a brand new marketing department. I launched a brand new e-commerce division. I helped implement EOS and totally created a people process that just really changed everything for me because I saw that power that it had and the effect that it had on businesses, and that got me really excited about how seeing that all of these things, this 15 years that I had spent helping businesses with their messaging, I saw firsthand how it played into other areas as well. And so that's what I want to share with you today, is how this really simple framework is everything you need for your business. It all comes down to these 3 things, really. Doesn't matter about what the popular things are out there. It doesn't matter about the noise or the distractions. If you clear all of that away, it really comes down to the root of these 3 things. If you don't have them, you're pretty much dead in the water. If you do have them, I feel like what you can do with your business is limitless. Like, it's amazing. This is really what breeds trust and loyalty. And to me, that's the only thing that matters in business. So if that's what you're looking for, you want trust and loyalty, you want authenticity, you want relationships, then stick around and watch this video. And if not, then hey, no worries, that's fine. So 3 things. The simple framework is clarity, alignment, and accountability. Those are the only 3 things that you need. Everything you do within your business is built off of these 3 things. And I have some notes over here because I do want to stay on track and not ramble on. Okay, so clarity. Clarity is being crystal clear on who your business is, on who your brand is, how you define that, how you communicate that. This is so important because it creates the filter for everything that you do. So when it comes to clarity, what do we need to be clear on? Well, we need to be clear on why we exist. We need to be clear on how we operate. We need to be clear on who are the people that we help. We need to be clear on the problems that we solve, the process that we follow, the outcome that we deliver. We need to know how we operate and act in certain situations and decisions. We have to have pillars and guiding like street lines, right? You know, you have the white lines and the yellow lines, and you know you're not supposed to cross one of those lines. I think it's the yellow lines. So that keeps you in your lane, and it keeps you from having a car accident, and it keeps you from veering off, and it keeps you going in the right direction. Well, that's what this does. Clarity does that for your business, where you're going to be faced with all kinds of opportunities. You're going to be faced with all kinds of decisions. You're going to be faced with all kinds of customers that come your way. But how do you know if they're the right customer? And how do you know if you can help them? And how do you know if you're going to be able to ensure an amazing result? And how do you know what people you need to hire? And how do you know that it's going to work out? Like, you don't unless you first build yourself this foundation and this framework that says, when all of these decisions, when all of these people, when all these opportunities come at me, I have a filter to stay on track, to stay focused, to stay clear and aligned so that I can be as purposeful and impactful as possible with my business, because otherwise we're going off in every direction and we're getting confused and we're getting distracted. And what that does is it dilutes and it saturates the impact that we have the ability to have. So what I have learned is this clarity businesses struggle with so much, because every single time I would sit down with a business owner to talk about their website, that was really hard for them. Like, I would ask them questions about like, okay, why do you exist? And, what are you trying to accomplish? And what's the impact? And what's the process? And what sets you apart? And they had like a sense of it, but they didn't have it really figured out. They couldn't just tell me succinctly and clearly. They would kind of like ramble on and kind of go off in different directions, or even just give me like this deer in the headlight look of like, well, I don't know. Like, I've never thought about that. Well, you have to have all that messaging figured out and dialed in order to be able to like put something on your website that isn't just fluff, that it has to be authentic. It has to be a real message that resonates and, connects with people on a real level. Otherwise, all the marketing and sales in the world isn't going to do anything if your messaging isn't dialed in. And that starts with this brand clarity thing. So we would sit down and I got really good at going through this process of being able to like figure it out for them, because your brand, it exists. You have values that drive through. You care about things. You get out of bed in the morning for a reason. You have a purpose. You have a mission. Maybe you don't know how to put it into clear words, but it's there. And so the point is to put it into words, because those words are really going to change everything in your business. And it's going to run into the sales and marketing and your messaging, what goes on your website, what goes in your social posts, what goes in your emails. How are you connecting with your ideal clients? Who are your ideal clients? How do you know what they care about? We need all this messaging figured out. And then we have to have it figured out, because otherwise, how can we build our process around it? How can we actually ensure that experience? How can we actually serve our customers and make sure that they're getting the experience that we promised them, or they're getting the outcome that we promised them? So we have to know what that is so we can actually like deliver, so we can actually serve. And then you have to also ingrain that into your people, because how can you train your new employees on the experience they need to have, or how can you make sure you're hiring the right people unless you have these things figured out? So you start with this clarity, and then that goes into your operations, how you structure your processes, how you deliver your services and your goods in order to like perform and deliver the outcome. And then you have to have the right people in place that are like motivated to do that and excited to do that and know how to do that and are clear about doing that. And you can't do that if you weren't able to communicate it. And you can't do that. You can't attract the right people if you don't have the words first, if you don't have that clarity on who's really going to thrive and who's not. So that's clarity, right? You see how important this is to literally everything in the business. Like, you want to get people engaged, you got to be able to inspire them. You got to get people motivated. You have to find people who care about those things and are motivated by the things you're motivated about. You want to be able to like generate the ideal customers. Like, you have to be able to communicate to them, and you can't do that without the clarity. So then that moves us into alignment. And alignment is really having our people, processes, and messaging all on the same page, which is basically just taking all that clarity and implementing it into the business. So we're implementing it in 3 areas. We're going to implement it into the sales and marketing. We're going to implement it into our process, and we're going to implement it into our people. So I'm going to start with people first. By people, I mean that you know who the best person is going to be in order to thrive in your business, in order to deliver an amazing customer experience, in order to be great at their job. And they're going to care about and be motivated by the same things that drive you. And if you've been around for any length of time, you know that's just, everybody cares about different things. Like, everybody thinks differently. Everyone's brains are wired differently. And so we can't force other people to care about what we care about. the best thing we can do is find the people who care about we care about. Find the people who thrive in the way that we do business, is to find the people who get excited about the way that we operate and the mission that we're trying to accomplish. But we can't find those people if we don't have that clarity, if we don't have that messaging to attract them. And then when we're interviewing, going through that hiring process, we have to be able to like ask the right questions and have the right conversation and really know and communicate our expectations and make sure that we know where they're at. Like, that clarity totally changes the game around how you talk to someone and the questions that you ask and the answers that you're looking for. And then when you bring them on board, that really sets that expectation and that foundation for like, this is how we operate. This is how we do business. This is how you need to show up to work every day. But they're actually gonna like that because they're aligned with that. Like, that's ingrained in them as a person, in their characteristics, in their behaviors, in their mindsets, because we're hiring real people. We're not just hiring roles and jobs and functions. Like, we're hiring like real people, and how they think and how they operate and what they value, that totally drives like the work and the outcome that you're gonna get out of them. So clarity 100% shapes your people, and your people shape your process and your sales and marketing. Like, your people really are what drive everything in your business. They're the ones who are working with your customers. They're the ones who are like maybe running your marketing department. They're the ones who are running your sales process. They're the ones who are like showing up and doing the work. You need these people, which is why it's so important to have like everything dialed in. And then they're the ones who then they use their own God-given gifting and creativity and talent and mindsets to really help you like make sure that you're delivering on the most amazing experience and you're attracting your ideal customers, and they're helping you with your messaging because you're going to say, here's the vision, here's the clarity, here's what we're after. We're going to find the right people, and then they're going to help us actually make it happen. That's really what business ends up coming down to. And we're going to drive that into our operations, and then we're going to drive that into our sales and marketing. That way, your customer is going to see that messaging. They're going to relate to it. They're going to resonate with it. They're going to be like, yeah, that's me. I need this. I need this help. I need this service. And then you're going to deliver on that. And they're going to be so happy, and they're going to be like, you're amazing, and I'm either going to keep coming back to you for more for this repeat business, or I'm going to tell all my friends about what an amazing experience I had and how you really helped me. I mean, that's really what that trust and that loyalty and that, like, there's a reason word of mouth is so powerful. It's the most like powerful form of marketing out there, is other people saying that they had a great experience with you and you did what you said you were going to do. So that's alignment. Everyone's on the same page. Everyone's clear on the expectations, your customers, your employees, your messaging, your processes, they're all built, right? And then we go into accountability, which is really just maintaining that consistency. It's just saying like, okay, we have all the pieces in place. Let's keep them in place. Like, let's just keep everything in check, because it's easy to get distracted. It's easy for people to have bad days. It's easy to compromise. And it's those little tiny compromises are what end up killing business. It's not just one big decision. It's these little things here and there, like when we're hiring people and we want to be super clear and we have these high expectations, but, oh, I really just need this guy to fit, so I'm just going to give him a chance. And then it like doesn't work out, and you're like, oh, well, I'll just talk to him about it. I'll just give him another chance. I'll just talk to him about it again. Give him another chance. And it's these little breakdowns in the process that end up like killing your business basically from the inside out. So accountability is all about having these things in place that really just keep everybody on the same page. It keeps us aligned. It keeps us trusting each other and being open and honest enough to be able to like I'm going to call you out for that because that's not how we operate. That's not how we do business. That's not what we believe. Or even on a marketing side, on a client side, it's like, hey, I know this isn't our ideal client. I see some red flags here. They're probably going to be a pain in the butt, high maintenance client, but I kind of just, it's a good opportunity. And so we say yes. And then they really are a nightmare client. And you really are like, oh my gosh, I should not have said yes. And it's because you settled. It's because you compromised. It's because you just like, you knew you shouldn't have, but you're like, oh, let me just try it anyway. And so we have to have these, it's the little things, right? It's not the big things. It's the little things we do day in, day out, week in, week out, quarterly, that really are what just keep us aligned. It keeps us focused. It keeps us in check. And that it goes back to that clarity is like when you communicated it, when you said that these are the standards, when you hired people based on these standards, and you onboarded them with those standards and you train them on these standards, when you really just make it super clear about what you're all about, man, it's really hard to go back on that, right? It's really hard to like claim, deniability or claim like, oh, really? And that's where the trap that most other businesses fall into is they didn't make things clear. So they can kind of be protected by the vagueness. They can be protected by the gray area. But that gray area just breeds confusion. It breeds dysfunction and chaos. And then you end up with people who are just like, this is not what I signed up for. And then they're not trusting you. Like it's breaking down trust and loyalty. Like when your employees can't trust you, that's a problem. When your customers can't trust you, that's a problem. So business comes down to these three things. And everything that you do, it just comes back to these three things. So if you have any issue in your business, it's either a clarity problem, an alignment problem, or an accountability problem. So which lens is it? Most of the time it starts with clarity. And then if you're super clear, it's probably a lack of alignment. And then the last place to look is actually accountability. And most people actually get that backwards. They think it's accountability first, but the two bigger things that the real foundational pillars that build everything up are clarity and alignment. So think about that for your business. Like, do you have all those things dialed in? Are you crystal clear on your business? Can you clearly and succinctly communicate it? Or do you feel like there's something missing there? Think about that, those concepts and what your business looks like through those three lenses. Hope this was valuable for you. Thanks for spending the time with me. I enjoyed our chat. Bye.